Hello everyone! The Gear Headed Hamster here, and welcome to Opus Magnum, a game about alchemy. Mother resurrecting not included. So, let us take a look at this. This is a game made by the also famous Zachtronics, who, among other things, have invented all sorts of crazy assembly and programming games such as Space Chem, Infinifactory, and of course, Last Call BBS. But we're taking a look at perhaps his magnum opus, Opus Magnum. And so we're just gonna kick it off. I've already played through a large part of the game, so I will be showing some of the later levels, but yeah. The first world is just a tutorial, just to teach you the basic mechanics. I'll explain as we go. First world gives you some basic, interesting things. Second world. Third. I won't spoil the story too much here, but I will say it is really good. Like, really good. Basic synopsis is you play as an alchemist who just graduated college or whatever for alchemy, and, you know, the world is divided into, like, these houses. Think sort of Romeo Juliet-esque, where you got these families who are, you know, very posh and very, like, uptight and snooty and all that. And there's a bit of a family rivalry between the different factions, the different clans. And so you are part of one clan who's kind of at war with another clan. It gets ugly. And basically you act as an alchemist, sort of a general, like, housekeeper slash, you know, specialist who can formulate chemicals and various other useful materials to help your respective family, whatever they may need. Really cool concept. I really love the way the story unfolds and whatnot, and yeah, really well done. Really well done. I love the tying in between the compounds you make compared to what the story needs. So, anyway, right. Let us continue. So Invisible Ink is the next puzzle I have not done. Before each chapter or before each puzzle, we get this short little blurb of what the events are. So I won't read it to you here, but it's here if you need it. Alright, new solution. And welcome to Opus Magnum. This will be the screen you'll be staring at most of the time while playing the game. So I'll give you a quick tour. In the left, we have the various components you'll be working with, and basically the idea is it's a factory builder. You build these small, intricate, two-dimensional factories that make these, the products. So yeah, I need to come up with a machine that makes these two outputs, and as inputs, we have these. These are water molecules, or rather water atoms. Quickly here's a periodic table of all the elements in the game. You have the 4 cardinal elements, air, water, earth, fire. You also have a neutral element in the center called salt. And then you have these specialty elements, mors and vitae. And these have some interesting, like, lore implications, but yeah, we'll show you that in just a moment. In addition to these non-metallic elements, you also have the metals. You have the main chain of metals, lead, tin, iron, copper, silver, and gold in that order. You also have a transmutation metal called quicksilver, where combining lead with quicksilver turns it into tin and you lose the silver. And repeating the process, you can turn tin into iron, then copper, then silver, then gold. Alternatively, you could combine 2 atoms of the same element to produce 1 atom of the higher tier element. I don't know if we'll be doing that today, but yeah, it is something you could do. Some puzzles incorporate that. So, right. the main way you manipulate things, so you have your inputs here, outputs here. The main, like, base element of factory building are these. These are your arms. They come in a variety of flavors. You got the single arm, you have double arms, you have triple arms, and you have hexa arms. And they can also be changed in length, only while you're building. While they're running, they are at a fixed length. You also have this specialty arm, a piston arm. It's only got one end, but it can dynamically change length while the simulation is running. But if you'll notice, there's a small cost to every component, and one of the objectives of the game, much like every Zachtronic game, is not about solving the puzzle. No, that's only the beginner stuff. The truly masterful skill is not just simply solving the puzzle, but optimizing it, making it as efficient as possible. And one of the criteria for optimization is cost. How expensive is the factory? You also have another interesting element known as track, where you can place it down and on its own it does nothing, but if you drag it, you can draw these intricate patterns, and if you place an arm on it, that arm can then slide along the track while the simulation is running, doing some really complicated manipulation of your molecules. So yeah, tracks are very useful. Whoops. Right. So in addition to the arms, which will be handling your molecules, you also have what are known as glyphs, which these will actually interact with the molecules as well. Now, glyphs are placed on the field, and they have different abilities. So the most common one is the glyph of bonding. Put two atoms next to each other, and it creates a little bond, a little connection between the atoms, sticking them together. Simple enough. You got a tri-bonder, which is like three of these combined. You have debonder, which breaks connections. This one is a glyph of calcification. It turns any cardinal atom into a salt. And there are other, what's it called? Projection, I believe, where you can turn salt, you can turn salt into a cardinal atom if you already have a cardinal atom. Which, okay, cool. And then you also have this, which is a specialty glyph for this puzzle. If you add two salt into the center two slots, you'll get a Mors and a Vitae as your output, which, as you see here, are needed for the output. Which, yeah, that will become very important. And lastly, you have the glyph of equality, which is basically just a background detail. It's something you can do just to, you know, pretty up your level a little. Ta-da! Yeah, but they don't actually serve any function other than that. Although they can be useful in terms of, like, visualizing things, but anyway, moving on. So, right. So yeah, a large part of this game is about mentally breaking down the process. Like, what do you have? What do you need? There are a few quick limitations as well. Okay, so first of all, how do you control the arm? Well, the arm is controlled through this interface down here. On the left, we have basically an instruction set. These are the various things the arm can do. So, very quickly, you can grab and let go of atoms. Simple enough. You can rotate the base of the arm like that. You can rotate the head or the hand of the arm, which pivots the molecule in the hand. Very useful. If there's a track, you can move the arm along said track. And if it's a piston arm, you can extend and retract the arm during the simulation. And so yeah, that's all of these symbols up here. Then you have these specialty symbols down here. Period override, which basically by default every arm will have the same period. This one can force the arm to have a unique period. I very rarely use that, so I'm not going to get into what that means in detail here, sorry. You have reset instruction. That's another one that I don't fully understand, sorry. And then we have a repeat instruction, where if we had, let's say, oh, and there's also a hotkey, so you can just simply do this, so, like that. And then if I tab through the simulation, so this grabs, rotates right, drops, rotates left. Like so. One quick limitation of this game is, well, collision. Two atoms cannot collide with each other. That will produce an error. So that is where the puzzle element comes in. Yeah, so you have to make sure your molecules and atoms never collapse or collide into each other. Likewise, the arm base, like the center hub of each arm, also has a collision, so that is also not allowed. Fun enough, however, arm hands never have collision, and so they can pass right through each other just fine. Even weird, impossible situations can occur where certain arms should not be able to pass through each other. For example, like if I had an arm like this and an arm like this, one should be above the other. One should swing above the other like that, where this one technically should be below the first arm, but it still is able to swing clean through, as I can show you here. Yep. Even though, yeah, technically from a three-dimensional standpoint, this should be physically impossible, but the game hand waves it away. Anyway, right, enough pre-rambling. Let's start by actually thinking about how I'm going to do this. So, okay, so yeah, very quickly, the three criteria that measures your factory's efficiency are the cost, how expensive the factory is, and you can know the price of every component by this little number in the bottom right of each component here. Note that inputs and outputs are free. Outputs have to be placed. Inputs may or may not be placed, but they usually are important. Technically, I could just do that, and it's still a solvable level. But yeah, so cost, cycles is how long the factory takes to produce the product. For a level to be successful, you have to produce exactly 6 outputs. In this case, this has 2 output molecules, so technically 12 is the number, 6 of each, as denoted here. But yeah, usually if it's a 1 molecule output, you need 6 full molecules for the level to be complete. And so yeah. And then lastly, we have area, which, let's see, what button is it? Yeah. So if I do that, I believe, yeah, you can see all these ghost squares or hexes here. That represents the area I used. And so it counts wherever an atom or component is, as well as the sweep area that the item took up. So every hex has an invisible hitbox, and if that hitbox is triggered, it counts towards your total area of your puzzle, of your solution. So you also want to minimize that. The fandom has also come up with some more interesting and varied variations of these criteria, like minimum instructions, or one interesting one is minimum height. So your solution can only be 2 or 3 atoms tall, and good luck with that. One of my personal favorite variations of the criteria is called sum, where you add your cost, your cycles, and area together, and the sum of these 3 elements is your total score. And it's so it means that generally cost and area work hand in hand. You minimize one, you minimize the other. But Cycles is the antithesis to those two, where you minimize cost and area, but cycles goes way up. Likewise, if you bring cycles way down, the cost and area usually balloons like crazy. Really cool seeing like really optimal both cycles and cost solutions, but personally I love the balance between the two, where cost and cycles, you have to find a middle ground, and an optimal middle ground. So that's one of my personal favorites. Oh yeah, I was going to show the repeat. So this one basically just simply copies whatever instructions you place before it. Simple enough. I also tend not to use it. I tend to just program it by hand. Anyway, right. And then last thing to mention is this symbol here, the Critelli. It's very, very important that you put this in an aesthetically pleasing spot. Super important. Like, if you forget about this one, you do get a few negative points on your final exam. So, yeah, very important you put this in an aesthetically pleasing spot. Right. So, moving on, let's see. So, thinking about this, just to note, I have not seen or solved this particular puzzle yet, so this is a new one for me, so yeah, let's see how well I solve it first try. Immediately I see we got mores and vitae, which are the special elements, which means I'll need one of these, a glyph of animism? Okay, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but sure. Right. Unfortunately, I don't have any salt to work with. Interesting. Okay, so there was a level earlier featuring this glyph. This is really awkward, by the way, where, okay, like a single arm, yes, you can interact with these two on like a rail, but then you would need like to do a swing motion, which that takes up a lot of area. Yeah, it's just really awkward. Like, I could have like a too long arm, but yeah. Just because I'm a little bit lazy at this, I mean, I probably could find a better solution. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, the problem is they only accept salt, so salt it is. And then, yeah. So that reaches every square, or hex, I mean. So yeah, I think I'll do that. And then your job will be simple. You'll just simply grab, right, and then forwards. Forwards, then drop, then let's see, backwards, left, grab, right, drop. And so that'll produce the two special atoms I need. So first it becomes salt, then I move forwards, I drop, I come back, grab a new one, salt, drop, and done. Oh, whoops, I do need to move back to start. There we go. And voila. But small collision, so okay. So that's producing the... Oh, and the other nice thing is you can grab whole segments, and you can also, with A and D, rotate pre-built segments. And the nice thing is this game is rotationally symmetric, so it doesn't matter which way around it is. So that's nice. Right. So that's the basic atom, or basic atoms made. Now, let's think about the rest of it. So, nice thing is these two are symmetrical. Like they're the same molecule. They're just they just have a different central atom. So, yeah. Basically, I'm thinking is having 2 separate factories on either side. Basically, stealing water atoms. Maybe I have a distribution arm, and that produces the side chains. Not sure about that. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking I have one arm that manipulates the water atom directly, and then I have one arm that focuses on the Vitae, and then same thing with the Moors. So, obviously we'll need a bonder of some description. Yeah, something like that. I know it's a little bit inefficient in terms of cycles and atom use to have one atom dedicated to the Moors and Vitae, because that's only 2 atoms, whereas the rest require 3 atoms. Like, a more efficient design would be 1 atom for the Moors, 1 atom for maybe the tail, and then have another like mini factory producing the water salt stick, and then combine them later. I think that's technically more efficient. Like, that'll definitely be a lot faster, but I feel like it's a little bit easier just having a dedicated system. I don't know. I feel like it's a little easier having one dedicated system making Moors and Vitae, and then a separate system doing the rest of the atom. Or rest of molecule. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so... Right, how do I want to do this? So, yeah, importantly, it has to be within reach. So, if I put that there... one other thing you have to be aware of is collisions. Like, so, yes, this has full access to both bonding pads, and like this could make that full molecule, or like the water salt molecule itself. Do I want to do it this way or not? Humdullah hum. Tricky. Let's see. The problem is if I make the arm longer, it does give me a little bit more space to work with, although... Yeah, unfortunately that also means that... Well, I only have access to one of the pads now, and now it's suddenly very asymmetric, so... If I do that, this would have to come up here, and... Yeah, I probably could do something like this. Problem is, now there's no way to bond the 2 atoms here, making the stick. I could probably have like a separate factory system just making sticks on the side. Like, that could be a thing. Maybe. But then I could probably shift this forwards and grab... yeah. Remember, tracks are your friend. And yeah, there's no risk of collision there. Alternatively, if I had a track that moved up and down... yeah, the problem... Alternatively, if I had this on a track... Like, I want to minimize the amount of work Arm 2 has to do, because the more work it does, the slower the system is, because Arm 2 has to not only produce everything for the upper molecule, but also the lower molecule. So that's a lot of work, and basically any work it does is doubled for each one. So if I can have Arm 3 do a lot of the legwork while Arm 2 is busy helping out the lower molecule, that would be ideal. So yeah, I'm thinking Arm 3 needs a track. Yeah. Unfortunately, I believe that's a collision. Although, oh, I see. Build the molecule first and then add the salt on last. Note, I will be adding it as a water and then turn it into salt later on. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm probably going to have like a big ugly swing that's going to take up a lot of space, but whatever. Okay, so, right. Okay, so yeah, step 1 is, yeah, Arm 2 is going to, let's see, grab the water, and then swing up, and then drop water, and then swing back. And that's all it's going to do. Okay, so in Arm 3, your job is going to be grabbing that, and then moving it up the rail, and then dropping it, and then moving back down the rail. But so yeah, that's a handoff, and then you're gonna swing twice. Swing, swing. Oh, okay. Sorry, I don't need to move that. Oh, wait a second. Oh, wait a second. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. Hang on. If I'm there... Yeah, that's a collision. Ah. Oops. Oopsies. Okay, so it needs to be, like, sort of one higher? Yeah, I didn't realize that, but... Okay, so... Alternatively... Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking maybe that helps just build the molecule, and then still having the rail, but maybe have the rail move upward. So this will be holding on to the vitae, and then it can rotate once, like, or yeah, maybe move the vitae up to here, drop it, and then grab the water, and then rotate the water like that. Then we add that, and then maybe just swing this and drop it somewhere. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that, I think that works a lot better. Okay, so... Oh, but, right, this, there needs to be a hand... Oh, no, there doesn't need to be a handoff. This can just simply start by grabbing... Okay. So, yeah. Let's just rework this. So, you start by... also, I'm gonna shift you over out there for now. Okay, so, let's see. Okay, so after that, on this cycle, you need to grab. So grab, left, left, and then at that point, something like that. Let's try it. Oh, something else you can do is if you hold Alt and then click, you can accelerate through the timeline, which is very useful for. Yep, that's a collision. So I need to what? This arm delay. You can also reorder arms if you're not happy with the numbering scheme. Did I do that? Yeah. So now that's arm 2 and this is arm 3, or you can cycle it. So yeah, that is really nice that you can reorder the arms if you're not happy with the numbering scheme. Anyway, so yeah, moving ahead, we grab, perfect. Okay, and so that drops, and you need to rotate 1, 2, 3, and then you need to grab again, grab again. The one minor problem is the grab command is F on my keyboard. You can see the hotkeys down here, but I instinctively want to press G for grab, but no, that's the plus on Rails. So, well, anyway, so yeah, grab, move, and then reset. So let's see. Does that work? Yep. Okay. And so then at this point, the arm needs to move up on the rail, like so. And then it needs to drop and then move back again. Nope, negative. And then grab and then pivot. So let's see if that works. So moves up, lets go, comes down, re-grabs, and then pivots. And then at that point it should swing. So, right. And voila! So now it's a case of it needs to output. How do I want to do this? Well, okay, let's try the naive approach. If I just do left, left, and then drop, what does that look like? Oh, whoops. I need to release you and then swing back to center. Okay, so that grabs. Oh, whoopsies. Oh, whoops, wrong timeline. Okay. Nice thing is you can reorder instructions like this. So yeah, really nice. And yeah, by the way, if you're wondering, yes, this canvas is infinite. I have unlimited space to work with here. Well, close enough, you know, very, very big. And then, like, I'm sure there's an edge of the world somewhere, but I have never found it. And then, likewise, this timeline is also infinite. You can have an infinite number of arms and an infinite long instruction. One thing which is very interesting is this game is, well, yes, you're programming, but the arms themselves, in of themselves, are not Turing complete. Like, you can't measure anything, you can't sense anything, like the arms have no way of detecting. But, funny enough, the game itself, the system of molecules and atoms, is Turing complete. Because arms can grab air. I mean, like, they can grab nothing. They can grab just blank space. And there's really interesting setups where you can have a system of like bonders and systems of grabbing nothings as sort of a check whether or not a thing is there or not. And like depending on, like, you can have a molecule, but then you can have like special atoms bonded to a backbone, and that can encode information whether an atom is present or not. Will change the way the whole molecule is moved throughout the factory. And so using this together, you actually can build working computers in this game, which is absolutely insane. Anyway, so, right. Where was I? Okay, so yeah, that pivots, bonds, and then 1, 2... but looking at the area, yeah, not sure how well it shows up, but yeah, it takes up a lot of space. One thing I want to see if I can do, instead of what if I pivot and then rotate? Sorry, what was the old area? So area is 52, 59, and then that would be the output. If I instead do that, yes, I know I need to deal with salt. If I actually do a pivot first, what was it, 59 I believe? And now it's 53, significantly smaller. And if I add a calcification there, so now we have this, and that's why I swing inwards. I wasn't really planning it, I just thought it would be nice. But yeah, now I can do that, salt, pivot, and then if I move you in, that should actually reduce the area as well. Yes, 51. Bingo! Alright, and so that works. Now I just have to repeat the same process on the other side. So... oh, wait a second. Oh! Oopsies! I just realized something. This is transition, or yeah, slide symmetry, not mirror symmetry. Oh, whoopsies. Okay, that's a catch I did not expect, or I saw coming. Like, I think it's still doable. I still think I can work with that. Same principle still applies, but I will just have to think about how I handle things a little slightly differently. But yeah, so this comes here, so I need bonder. Yeah. What was it? Was it? Yeah, Game Maker's Toolkit. Game Maker's Toolkit did a really great video about what makes good puzzle games, and he basically said that a good puzzle game needs a simple premise and then a catch. It needs to be like, oh, this is obvious. You do the obvious things, and suddenly, wait a second, the obvious thing doesn't work because the catch. Something is not quite what you expected, or something doesn't quite line up, and you realize, oh, the obvious thing doesn't work. Now I have to actually think. Now I have to try and work around the catch. Why does a catch prevent me from solving the solution in the straightforward manner? And it's like, yeah, if this was a mirror, like if the salt was down here, I could just simply mirror all of this and do it all down here identically. But because this is not mirror symmetry, this is translation symmetry, I'm gonna have to do a little something funky with that salt atom. Regardless, so... right. So arm 4 will be there. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to timeshare between the two arms while one is producing the other one. Yeah, let's see. So yeah, really the only gap in the timeline right now is this, but... Oh, anyway, so yeah, Arm 4 should be basically identical to Arm 3, so it'll grab, it'll move right, and then it'll wait for Arm 2 to give it an atom. So... let's shift the timeline back a bit. Next, yeah, so Arm 4 is basically just patiently waiting. This then needs to grab right. I love that you can just select a large chunk of the timeline and just, yeah, bugger off to the right. Really nice, very good user interface, as one would expect from a professional such as Zachtronics. Okay, so yeah, grab right, drop left, and then proceed as per normal. And in fact, this can probably be shifted a bit. So let's see. Does that work? Too soon. Or rather, this is too late. Okay, that works. Can I delay it by 1? Yes, I can. Okay, so that works. Then that drops and... okay, that works. So yeah, I can rotate and drop on the same frame. That then moves up. Okay, and then once again, I need to put some delay in the timeline. Right. Like I said, because ARM 2 has to cater to both the upper and lower circuit, ARM 2 is going to be doing all the legwork. And so, yeah. This is why I handed off the assembly of the molecule to, like, the redirection of the molecule to ARMs 3 and 4, because they don't have as much work to do. ARM 2 is just simply passing atoms left and right, or up and down in this case, just feeding the machine, whereas 3 and 4 are doing the proper assembly. Okay, so yeah, I need to grab, right, drop, left, and then I think that can just slot in there like that. So yeah, let's see if that works. Okay, so that goes there. Okay, in reality, okay, so these can be bumped ahead a bit. Okay, so yeah, that has to wait for the atom to drop. So there has to be a delay there. Okay, so at this point, let's see. Atom is connected, and then it's at this point where it drops, so I need to shift forwards. So, what is that? Negative, and then drop, then positive, and then grab. And so, let's just double check that everything works. Yeah, positive, then grab. Oh, whoops, that's another positive. I meant grab. Yeah, and then, right, so now I have a stick. Yeah, sometimes I love using the outputs as just kind of like, okay, that's how it should look. So, now I need to pivot one to the right. Yeah. Pivot one to the right. So, like so. Ah! Wah, wah. Well, darn. Kisses failed again. Well, shoot. That makes things a little bit more tricky. Okay. Yeah. Fine. What have I... Well. What do we have here? A challenge, eh? I'm so scared. Alright, yeah, no, that's frustrating. It doesn't work. Okay, just out of curiosity, if I had the arm like this, or, yeah, even if I had the arm, let's say, like that, yeah, no, even that wouldn't work. Okay, so here's a question. What if I build the salt arm first, and then I built the rest of it second? Right. Well, okay, so if I'm gonna have to extend the track anyways, then. Okay, so redesigning the problem, or redesigning the puzzle, or solution, so yeah, I'm gonna start by building these atoms first. The problem is I'm gonna have to then shift all this down like that. Yeah, but then I'm gonna bring that there. Alternatively, well, the problem is if I had a longer arm. Yeah, the problem is when I have a longer arm. Now it fits there, but now it doesn't reach here, so it would probably have to be... Yeah, is there even a valid position? Like, okay, so that fits there. Yeah, like, a longer arm just has no valid position. I could do a piston arm, but that would be expensive. I don't want to do that. My stubborn pride says no. So, now what? And this is what I love about this game, where it's like, oh, easy, obvious solution, surprise, nope, and you have to try and figure it out and work around the problem. So, I'm sure a lot of you are yelling at your screen, oh my god, just do this. Which, admittedly, does make watching other people play puzzle games very frustrating, which I do apologize. It's just, yeah, kind of par for the course kind of nature of the gig where, yeah, watching people play puzzle games, I don't know about you, but I find them very frustrating to watch. But that might just be a me problem. But, yeah, regardless, part of me wonders if I should just have... Like, okay, so where are we? We are like this. Okay, I mean... Oh, I have an idea. If I do that, I can shift it down, and instead of... And then I can rotate around the moors, and then I can bring the whole thing up. Yeah! Okay, now we're cooking. Alright. Okay, so yeah, I bring it down. I don't drop it. I instead... I rotate it by 1. And then, negative again. I don't need to re-grab it. Yeah, let's try that. Hello? Handsome. Oh, whoops. Would help if I reset the arm to its correct starting position. Okay, so... Right. That passes that. Now I'm in the correct position. Oh. Yes, I also need to grab, right, drop, left. And so... Yeah. Right. That should be everything. Okay, I do still need to do the output. Right, what if I pivot to the left now? If I pivot left... And then I put a salt there. I rotate and then I drop. Oh, something else cool is if you press 1 on the keypad, or not keypad, number key, you can see a ghost of where the atoms were the last time you paused this simulation, which is really nice. So I do need a salt there. And I don't think that will affect anything. And then 1 down, and yes. Alright, and I believe that is a solution. And then I just need to... Okay, so... yeah, where am I? Okay, so I drop, and then I just need to reset the arm. So I need to swing 1, 2 up, and then positive 1. So left, left, and then positive. And bada bing, bada boom. Alright, and I believe... Actually, funny enough, this is the longest timeline. Yeah, technically, I think I can make it a little bit more efficient by... Instead of evenly giving atoms both sides... Yeah, I think I'm going to actually... Oh, what was it? Here? Yeah, I'm going to replace that one with a right, left, left, right. So now I'm going to prioritize giving the atom to the bottom there. This guy shifts there. And then this guy can shift, I believe to here? Does that condense the timeline at all? Or does that just rearrange things? I think that just rearranged things. Oh, and you can also control Z. Okay, I think... Hang on. Let's see if I screwed anything up. Okay, I think I can also be 1 cycle faster. Yes. No. There we go. Oh, actually, no. That needs to be a negative. Another rotation and then negative. There we go. Oh yeah. Right. Sorry. This resets the arm to the starting position, but again, I tend to do it manually. All right, and bada bing, bada boom, voila. And so if I hit space... sorry, that arm didn't reset. Okay, so it needs to rotate, let's see, 1, 2, 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. And I believe that should be good. Oh, one last thing. Let's see. Select everything. And... Critelli. Of course, like... what type of bottom-of-the-barrel licking alchemist do you think I am? I mean, we gotta have some pride in our work. Come on. Alright, and so that should be good. Ta-da! And here we can see a histogram of how well my solution compares to the rest of the world. So, funny enough, I'm actually low on cost. Like, this is a very good cost solution. Not the best. You can get much cheaper than that, but it's much trickier. So, I'm on the leading edge of that. Cycles, I am a bit slow, admittedly, so... I knew this was not going to be a super fast solution, but I think it's decent. An area, also pretty much on the high side. That could also be a bit better, but oh well. Alright, one other thing which I think is so cool and honestly an absolute gem of this game is you can record a GIF. And voila! Now a GIF has been saved to my desktop background, which is really great. Well, okay, not background, but like on my desktop. And so, personally, I will later on move it to a special file folder for all of the Opus Magnum GIFs. But yeah, nice thing is you can also continue editing and just kind of watch it work. I just gotta say, this is so satisfying. My goodness. Yeah. I'm not joking when I say, I genuinely believe Opus Magnum is Zachtronics' Magnus Opus, where it is just such a satisfying game. It visually looks nice, very polished, very refined. It's simple enough where like, it has a handful of interesting mechanics, but it's not crazy complicated, at least, you know, not on surface level. But, at the same time, and the sound design is really good as well, but at the same time, the mechanics are just complicated enough with just enough variation where you can genuinely make some really advanced puzzles that are super complicated, that require a lot of clever thinking, a lot of clever solutions. And if you've never watched an Opus Magnum tournament before, strongly recommend it. I'll probably have a link to a playlist of a tournament somewhere in the description where, yeah, like, just a level of creativity and a skill involved in some of the more advanced puzzles, especially anything having to do with metalworking and like using metallic atoms, and like the ratios of, especially when you have both combining atoms as well as using quicksilver, like the math on that for like optimal builds gets very complicated very fast. But like, that's the beauty of this game, where it can be as simple as, you know, just brute forcing it to as complicated as you want, depending on how advanced and how optimized you want the solution to be. It is a gem of game making and game whatever. This is just a great game. Words fail me, as they so often do. Alright. We continue on with the story. You can read it if you want, but yeah. So that's the story. Actually, fun enough, the main character doesn't appear once in this. I'll quickly go over a previous level where this guy here, that is our main character. Bit snooty, bit uptight, but he does have the skill to back it up, so at least that's up to you as a player. And so, right, this has been Opus Magnum, a fantastic game of basically atomic assembly lines, and it is fantastic. If you haven't played it yet, go check it out. Again, link in the description for the game as always. Anyway, this has been the Gear Headed Hamster, and you have a great one, folks. Take care. Now, where did I drop that Philosopher's Stone?